Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're all staying safe and well. Jeff Cisneros here with Sparta Sports and Entertainment and Sparta Media Group. I just want to take a minute to give a huge thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters for AVM 11. Though the event was supposed to take place this Saturday, April 25th, and isn't going to happen, has to be rescheduled now, their support has never wavered once. And so I'd like to show some graphics and ask that you support these local businesses anytime in the future that you need one of their products. Bullhide 4x4, the official sponsor of the AVM Fighter Runway. Texas Tire Loveland, official sponsor of the Tale of the Tape. Ron Jones's Garage, being a constant supporter for many years of Sparta. Jiffy Lube of Loveland, Colorado. The Right Ride, the official sponsor of this year's Ring Card Girls. Dynamic Mortgage Concepts, located in Fort Collins, Colorado, and have been one of our longest sponsors. Brandon Dodge on Broadway. Cowboy Dodge in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Arapahoe Kia.
Code 4 Security Enforcements. To those sponsors and supporters, thank you, and without you, this event wouldn't be possible. Next time in the market for one of their products, please consider supporting them. As I had discussed earlier, without them, this event wouldn't be possible. And we look forward to getting a rescheduled date soon. Until then, stay healthy and thank you for your support. This is the story of how AVM was born and the passion and mission behind it. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all who have served and sacrificed for our freedom and our beautiful country. The picture featured is my father during Vietnam, a member of the 173rd Airborne Division. Very few, other than a couple people very close to me, have ever heard me talk about my father. Mostly because I hated him as a child. I didn't understand why he was the way that he was. A very cold and distant man who had zero emotion. As I've grown into an adult, being around more wounded vets and seeing the traumas of war like PTSD, it has brought me to realize that my father clearly suffered from both that and something known as survivor's guilt. With no help, this made his life a living hell, and as you can imagine, the people around him at times too. I remember as a young boy being woken up by my father having horrific nightmares and screaming. They were disturbing, and even sometimes something as simple as a military chopper flyover would cause him to freeze for a few moments and go completely blank. For many years, he never talked about the war unless he had been drinking. And then he would unleash stories of war in sometimes such a graphic way that it would give you the chills. As the years went on, I had less and less interaction with my father without a second thought, only thinking I never wanted to be like that. As the years progressed and we built the businesses, creating AVM had one goal in mind. I wanted to help other wounded soldiers both physically and mentally, and the families that suffered alongside them as well. And something deep inside me told me that if even we could help just one family and one veteran, then it would be worth it. And so we started the AVM series. As the years have gone on, my relationship never did get better with my father, but what I can share with you is that I was taught about what forgiveness is and what forgiveness really means. And with that, I have allowed for a relationship with my daughters and their grandfather. And what I can tell you is that he has been the most amazing grandfather to those little girls. They would have no recollection of any of the stuff I experienced as a child. I would be lying if I didn't say at times I felt selfish, wondering why he wasn't like that when I was growing up. But that wasn't my journey, and those experiences led me to this point and to the person I am today. It makes me the happiest man in the world to see how happy those little girls are, and knowing in the end I made the right decision and that he will also get the freedom in doing it right with his grandchildren. This is AVM.
Tonight's national anthem, performed by Andrew Swan.
Here we go.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome into the Sparta Media Group studios. I'm Todd, Romero, along with the CEO of Sparta Entertainment, Jeff Cisneros. And Jeff, this is the time of year. Saturday night was supposed to be a special time because it was going to be AVM 11, but due to COVID-19, obviously big time sports have not returned right now. So what better way to give the fans a little treat than go over some of the big moments that have taken place with Sparta over the years and really focus in on AVM.
Yeah, you know, really, Todd, it's disappointing for us all. So many people look forward to this event every year, but I understand it. I mean, we're in the middle of the pandemic and we want people to stay home and stay healthy so we can get back to life as we know know it. So, me and Jesse and the team, we were going over footage from AVM. We have 10 years of history in this event. And to be honest, I could have selected my top 1,000.
Yeah.
And I told Jesse, he's like, I need that list. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many. So we decided to give you the top 10 that ended up being the top 12 with honorable mentions. And the purely focus on it is the military moments of the event that made the event so special to so many people.
And when you take a look at it, listen, there's so many, as Jeff said, moments to pick from. So if you're fighters out there and fans of fighters and they didn't get on, it's just the fact that you have a limited amount of time. Let's go into a little bit how I met you and how that came along. You had a fight going on, and I think it was down in Castle Rock, I believe.
Yeah, Grant Neal had called me and he said, hey, he's like, I got a friend of mine, he works for Altitude Sports. He wants to come check out the product. Could you put him on the list? And I was like, yeah. And that's how it came. You left that night saying, man, this product's incredible. It needs to be on TV. And you set up the foundation for that meeting to follow.
And funny thing, Macy Barber was on that card, and she's now in the UFC. Grant Neal's now in Bellator. So there's so many fighters here in the double digits that have taken it from Sparta and gone on to greater things. Look at Ian Heinisch. I mean, you have really fed so many great fighters that are on major stages, and there's a lot more that are in Sparta right now.
Yeah, it's fun to look back and be like, oh my gosh, like Corey Sandhagen, the number 3 bantamweight in the world right now, he will be UFC champion. Ian Heinisch, Justin J. Train Gonzalez has been a staple of Sparta for many years, and he's knocking on the doorstep of UFC. It won't be too long before we see him. So that part of it's been really fun. But this event in particular just means a lot to me and the community in general.
When you take a look at the AVMs, we broadcast one 3 or 4 years ago on Altitude where the Gonzaleses were the featured bout. But the Army and Marines and the service members that fought on that card, what really drew me, because it was my first experience with AVM, was just the pomp and circumstance around it, how people came from all over to support their fighters. Their whole families traveled in, filling up with Budweiser Event Center. It made it like, I think there was 22 fights or something that first night that I did it with you guys, and as it built throughout. And I remember at one weight class, the guy wanted to fight so bad, I think he took on a fighter that was 20 pounds heavier. He ended up getting beat, but that's what the event meant to him so much.
No, it's funny you bring that up. That's the Marine mentality, right? And that was Derek Lavelle, and he had all he had all his Marines in town from all over, and his opponent had missed by quite a bit, and he still fought. And even though he lost it, he has that warrior spirit. You'll never count out a Marine ever.
And you get there, the core of the cage, all this though, this would have been the 11th AVM, which we hope it's still going to happen. It's just going to be at a later time and everything gets cleared. But I think it was about 7 years ago when the core of the cage came to be.
Well, me and Jesse had been talking about it for many years, and I had this vision that I wanted to create a little mini documentary feature on a Marine that had served wartime, that then came in and transitioned to becoming an MMA fighter. And so we wanted to call it From the Core to the Cage. And to be honest, we met some great candidates along the way, but it just didn't work out timing-wise. A lot of them were moving, deployments were still going on. And then, I met Derek Lavelle, and I went to him and with the idea, and he loved it, and it was beautiful. And since that point, we've done 3. We did Derek Lavelle, we did Jared Padilla, and we did very close friend of mine as well, Vernier Wood, all 3 combat veterans and United States Marines that they fit the mold for what that little mini documentary series was. It was very powerful.
Jared Padilla is a name that you brought up, and he's one of your moments at AVM. I mean, on several different aspects of it.
Oh my goodness. I got chills thinking of that fight. That was the night. That was the night on Altitude. Yeah. They weren't live at that point, but you remember the energy in the building is just crazy for AVM anyway. And here you have United States Marine Jared Padilla, U.S. Army Paul Lucero, and there was history there all the way from high school. And they got in there, and it was just it's the greatest fight in Sparta history, in my opinion.
It was a barn burner. When you see the branches of military, there's so much respect in this sport, and that's one of the things that drew me to it when I started. I've always been a fan of it, but when I started working it for you at Sparta and calling fights, the one thing that I've been involved with so many sports, the NBA, the NHL, And I can only compare it really to the NHL as far as sportsmanship. Those guys that shake hands after every battle of 7 games on the ice, you don't really see it as much in the NFL, and you don't see it as NBA, but the camaraderie between the fighters, that once the bell rings that ends that fight, or if it ends by submission or knockout, the respect that these fighters have, not only for the whole sport of MMA, but then to see the branches of military on top of it, to me, made it even more special.
Oh, absolutely. And that, I mean, I've seen like dark grudges of 2 guys that hate each other, and then they get in there and when they're done fighting, they shake hands and they have a massive amount of respect for each other. And I've also seen best friends that are like brothers get in there and just beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah, and you look at that with Sparta Entertainment, and we've not only seen that in MMA, but also seen that with boxing, because there's a big boxing contingency here, where you've seen some great fights, guys that look like they've been knocked out on their feet, and you know what fight I'm talking about, and came back to win that fight. You have got a lot to choose from.
Well, you know, and I think that's what is going to be disappointing for me for this year's AVM is, you know, my brother Steve Messis with Airtight Boxing, he's the best boxing matchmaker I've ever met, and he matches for a lot of the big cards. So I'm really disappointed that, you know, this didn't happen. We were doing an Airtight and Sparta AVM for the first time ever that was going to have some of the biggest boxing fights Colorado's ever seen, with a mix of MMA fights and the most military fights that we've had since AVM 4 or 5.
And when you look at it, we're going to go into some of the fights and bring you back some of those moments. So it gives you something to look forward to, although AVM has been delayed a little bit. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back, and we'll relaunch talking about some of those fighters and great moments in AVM history.
Yeah, I'm Bill. I'm a 30-year retired sergeant major from the Army, looking to continue to serve people. This ends up being perfect. I'm able to help folks financially buy homes, refi, and it is an incredible feeling to hand a set of keys to somebody who's buying their first home. It allows me to continue with the integrity and the morals and ethics that I served with. Dynamic Mortgage Concepts has been around for many years. We have a range of products that fits just about anybody's needs. We do A to F credit, so the lower credit scores, we can still get you a mortgage. And a mortgage simply is a loan that allows you to buy a home, and then you pay that loan back in a monthly payment for that home you've purchased. There are conventional loans, there are USDA, FHA, and VA loans, which are government-backed. The way the products lay out and the way the industry is with interest rates right now, it's an incredible time to be doing this stuff.
Welcome back, Todd Romero again alongside the CEO of Sparta, and that is Jeff Cisneros, as we talk about the greatest moments, not only in AVM history, but things that put Sparta Entertainment Group on the map. And one of those, Jeff, was for AVM 8. We broadcasted on Altitude Television, and I did it with a fighter that is up and coming once again.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. Me and Jesse and Becca, a longtime dream of ours was to be on national TV. And it actually happened in March of 2016. Justin Gaethje had come to me and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a co-promotion with World Series of Fighting? Because they don't seem to put a lot of butts in the seats, and you guys do. And, you know, what can we work out? And so going through that, experience live on NBC Sports Network, we saw what we were capable of.
Right.
And so it became more and more of a dream that we really wanted. And then, I've always been a great believer in fate. And, I met you and you knocked on the doors, and we were talking about this, like greatest moments in AVM history. It was so crazy because we had to build the demo for Kenny and Benny, and we were going through it, and Jesse and the team busted their back building this demo, and then we're all sitting in the room and we're playing it, and Benny, after 90 seconds, says, "Stop it, I've seen enough." We were all like, "Oh," and then he looks around and he's like, "I love it. That's a live ready product for TV," and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is surreal for us. Like, we're living this dream to go through it. And it's crazy because I was looking at an old picture last night, and I'm like, I remember that day thinking, man, I'm living my dream right now. And little did I know it was going to get even better than that. That was just going to be a dream and
a launching pad.
A launching pad, and we were going to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So that was really exciting for me, and so that needed to be an honorable mention because without you, without Jesse, without Becca, without the entire Sparta Sports and Entertainment team, from volunteers all the way to staff, that wouldn't have been possible. And so thank you for everybody, all the fighters that took part in that. It was just an incredible night. I remember getting home at 3:30 in the morning and just being like, did that really happen?
And we're going on for the first time. We're using a streaming unit, and it went off without a hitch. Neil Magny called the fights for me, and boy, Neil Magny back in the winning column right before COVID-19 hit with probably one of the best performances I've seen him fight.
Neil's a beast, and he's a U.S. Army veteran. I mean, who doesn't love that, And Neil's just one of those good guys that you can't help but to root for, But do you remember that night you accidentally dropped?
Oh yeah, the S-bomb. But they said it was okay because it was after 10 o'clock at night, so I was okay there.
It was during the J-Train fight. Todd's like, holy shit, so it was like
Gonzalez versus Gonzalez fight, and it was unbelievable because the buildup had been so good. You couldn't think that anybody would be. It was Enrique Baby Bull Gonzalez, who still is continuing.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's in Combate now.
I mean, he is. This kid was unbelievable. I think at 18 or 19 years old, it gave J-Train everything he had that night.
Gone either way.
J-Train had tough weight cut that one, and he really had to gut it out. He won the last few rounds to get that. It was razor close, but the build up to that fight is what made it so great. And to get an honorable mention, to be on Altitude Television for the first time, and as we move up to, I think, number 12, or the next great moment in Sparta Combat League, was the fact that you were able to bring it to Pepsi Center and to bring that dream and to be able to be at a venue like that for not only your fans but your fighters as well.
I'll always. I still get chills just even thinking about it and talking about it. It was July 2013. Benson Henderson was fighting Frankie Edgar at the Pepsi Center, and we were literally at the top row of the can. And I was there with some friends and Becca, and I said, you know what, we're gonna do a fight here someday at Pepsi Center. And the guy that I was sitting next to isn't a friend anymore for good reason. And he was like, oh yeah, right, sure you are. But I never let that dream slip. And I told Jesse and Becca, I was like, we're gonna do Pepsi Center. And literally, it was after we did the TV debut with Altitude, again, your connections at Pepsi Center put me in contact with the right people, and the president of Altitude at the time, Benny Boylan's like, you could do Pepsi Center with this event. And, we started it and we did there. And I just remember being so overwhelmed. I felt like almost I couldn't enjoy the moment, but a moment I'll never forget is standing in the center of that ring with my girls and my family, just looking around being like, oh my God, we did Pepsi Center. So again, at that moment, I had all this gratitude thinking like, how does it get bigger and better from this point, right? So, just keep on moving. And that was just such an emotional, powerful moment for me to be like, we just did Pepsi Center and we killed it. And we debuted King of Sparta the very first time the tournament.
That was unreal.
Yeah, we had talked about it for 3 years trying to get the commission to approve it, and he was retiring that year. And so I was like, I need something huge for Pepsi Center. And so he approved it, and LT Nelson came on, won a boxing fight, a kickboxing fight, and an MMA fight.
At 155?
Yeah, 155, and since then's gone on the 170-pound tournament. So, that night was so special for so many reasons, but it'll definitely live in my memory forever.
Well, I think, too, when you have people around you that have grown with you and been with you, like Jesse or Eric has been, and like your family's been, those are the moments where you sit back and you kind of take in and enjoy a little bit because you know what you've gone through to get to that point. So let's talk about number 11.
Okay.
And when you're talking about number 11, it's Court of the Cage. It took a little while to get going, but it's been there for a while. And the brainchild, as we talked a little bit at the top of the show, but what that meant for you to bring it.
You know, Court of the Cage is very emotional for me, and it means so much because, you know, as we discussed earlier, it's an idea that I brought to Jesse many years ago. You know, a lot of people might know by now, but they might not. A big dream of mine and Jesse's has always been filmmaking and making documentaries. And that's where, you know, we launched another brand called Sparta Films, you know, late last year that we're going to be working on our own documentary that we're working on now, as well as other projects. But I told him, you know, I really want to do this idea called From the Court of the Cage that tells the story of a wartime veteran that served in the Marine Corps, that then got out, went through his struggles and battles, and made that journey to the cage and what it meant. But we kept missing an opportunity. Every time I found a candidate, they got deployed or they got restationed somewhere else.
So it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy. And then by chance meeting, I got introduced to a Marine named Derek Lavelle. And I started hearing his story. You know, I knew he had fought in Fallujah, and I knew he was a police officer now. And I just, as I became friends with him, I learned more and more about him. Right. And I mean, his group of Marines, they're so incredible. They live all over the country now. And every year they fly in for this event. They've made it kind of their little thing every year. And so I went to him with the idea, and he wasn't sure at first because he's not really a, like, look at me, I want to be on camera guy. But we did it, and oh my God, he nailed it. It was beautiful. You know, it's just such a beautiful story to see somebody who has battled and overcome the hell that they went through, you know, during war, and then to not be a fighter as in MMA standards, right, but to be like, I need to do this. I want to do this. I missed that. It was incredible, you know? And so then, you know, we moved on from him, and then our next candidate was a guy I just loved, like my own brother, Jared Padilla. And he also had battled through so much, you know, in his wartime. He lost good friends. He's been through so much in his life, and he's just a great guy. And to see him come back, and then, you know, what does he do? They put on Fight of the Decade. Yeah, I mean, everybody was just like, I mean, if anything, we told Altitude, I wish that fight would have been the main event. Because,
well, you look at it, when you look at those two guys that you mentioned from that AVM and from that Court of the Cage, you look at Lavelle. I'll never forget him because I saw him right after he had lost. Yeah. And I think he took a guy that was probably 20 pounds heavier, and he was dominating to start off with, yeah, and then it got called at the end, and I still think it was a little controversial at the end, if I remember. He didn't think that he was quite there. Yeah. But the fact, he was such a good sport. When I was back there talking to him, he says, you know what? At the end of the day, I had too many people coming in to watch me fight. Yeah. I had to find somewhere to fight, and I would have done anything to do so. And then Padilla, with that fight being one of the best, really highlighted what you wanted for that specific emotional part of the show. Yeah,
you know, and it was just crazy. And then somebody I'd always wanted to feature, but it didn't work out, was Vern Earwood, also United States Marine, combat vet. You know, it's crazy because Vern is very strong personality. He's very type A, and he'll tell you exactly how it is. And if you don't like it, then whatever. But this is also the same guy that's been out driving around during COVID, delivering free masks for people in need. Not selling them, but he's giving them away for free. And that's always been the Vern I know, is he will give the shirt off his back for somebody. And, you know, I knew he'd been through a lot in combat as well, just like anybody who has served. And, man, it was just so incredible. Ironically, through all the years, he had never been able to compete on AVM until last year. Yeah. And a crazy boxing fight with, fighting an Army veteran, and he gets the knockout late in the fight. And I just love Vern, but, you know, it was just Court of the Cage is just a beautiful perspective on the life that these guys go through and the ability to overcome anything and any obstacle in any situation, and they're always looking to help other people. And that's why that stands out as one of the most prominent moments and one of my favorite memories of AVM so far.
And really, it goes hand in hand with MMA and how these guys are built and how they're wired. Obviously, fighting for yourself and fighting in the ring is different than fighting for your country. But the mentality of how you go about and how you enter things is very similar to that. And that's what I appreciate so much about Core to the Cage. When you move on to number 10, as far as top moments, and that's 2015, walking out to the cage to a sold-out Budweiser event center with an unbelievable crowd and the electricity in the air.
You know, it was crazy. It was a surreal moment there, too. I remember in 2014, we were there, and the Avalanche had made a Game 7 playoff run, of course, on the same night. And so we ended up with 3,800 people. We missed the sellout by about 1,200 people. Right. And so I was like, we're selling out next time. So the next year we got there, and I was in the back, doing some other stuff, and it was about halfway through, and me and Rob Wright, we came out behind the curtain, and I was like, holy, I was just, there wasn't a seat available, and the energy, and people kept coming back all night being like, you got to get out there and see this. I mean, the energy is unlike anything I've ever experienced. And so like walking through that tunnel and seeing that was like, it was so surreal. Like I told Rob, I was like, can you believe this? I was like, hey, come outside with me. We went out back, and we were just like, this is really turning into something. This is becoming something so powerful that people love. And it's a pretty powerful thing to see a vision that you've dreamt up actually happen even better than you anticipated. Because
you try to be, well, you're positive anyway. Yeah. You're always a glass half full guy. You're always looking at that. But when it exceeds your expectations, you know there's something special.
Yeah, but it's crazy because at the end of the night, I was like, this is awesome, but how can we improve it next year?
Right. Well, you're always thinking that way.
Yeah, you're always thinking that way. And so that is a moment I'll never forget either. And it was just so powerful. And like, it was just a beautiful moment because what I love about AVM is it doesn't matter your political affiliation, how divided you are, if you're on the right, the left, or the middle. We're just 5,000 proud Americans that night. Right. And that's all that matters. And that's what I love about it.
Well, you go from that, and we'll go to moment number 9. And the one thing you try to look at in this list, it's not just about what happens in the ring. It's the stories outside of the ring. Where fighters, where Marines, where anybody from the military branches gets their life in order despite what they've battled. And watching Jared Padilla propose at Pepsi Center is moment number 9.
It's moment number 9 because, again, like at this point, I have built such a solid relationship with him, and I know a lot about him. And it's crazy because I had to like bust his balls afterwards and be like, okay, what can you do to not steal the show anymore, right? Like you just got to keep stealing the show. But to see him not only get in there and win the fight in dominant fashion, get a first round finish, and then propose to Carrie Ann, who is just an incredible lady. Like it was just one of those moments where, God, I'll just remember it forever. Like seeing the power and the emotion, and then having all the thousands of fans like, cheer for him. That was awesome. And so that was moment number 9 for me because it's just something that they'll remember forever as they continue to build the rest of their lives as well.
And again, I think it shows with his backstory of how far he's come and to be able to be that comfortable in front of an arena full of people in a big moment. And he's given you a lot of big moments during AVM. I mean, like I said, one of the best fights ever, which we'll get to. When you take a look at that, and then you go back for moment number 8, and I think it's something that you've built your philosophy on because the one thing that people that go to AVM understand is that every time that Army versus Marines is held, this will be the 11th at some point in time, the one that was supposed to be this Saturday, and even your other events, you're always trying to give back to the community. And what happened for moment number 8 was a speech that kind of electrified you, and I think you recognized that moment of, we've got to capture this moment and let other people know about it.
Man, you're right, Todd. So this is another incredible moment, like looking back, and this is something I actually had told Jesse I'd forgotten about until he put into our new PSA video. But we were in back, and we had we had pulled together a group of the 4 wounded veterans that we were honoring that night, and another friend of mine, Sergeant Dean Sanchez, who works with the Wounded Warrior Regiment of the Marine Corps, and said, let's do something different. Let's bring all the fighters in here. Let's give a speech of what this event's for. And I was fired up. You know me, I'm passionate. Right. And so I said, guys, look, here we are. You want to look at heroism in every form of life? It's standing in front of you. You want to be inspired? It's standing in front of you. Let's go out there and let's put on a performance that we'll remember for the rest of our lives.
So tonight, I want you guys to go out there and make these guys proud. Be proud to be a fucking American, because these are the guys that lay it on the line every single day for what we do to go out there and do what we want to do and live life every day free as Americans. So let's bring it in right now. Let's do 1, 2, 3 USA, everybody. Yeah! Woo! Oh boys, let's go. Let's go, ready? 1, 2, 3, USA!
You know, the veterans were there. I had Gabe, who's a CrossFit athlete, double amputee.
I remember that.
And he's a beast, man. This guy's an incredible athlete. So, you know, they brought in, it was just like 1, 2, 3 USA. And it's like, every time I hear USA, it's like, I don't need that to remind me how proud of an American I am.
Right.
But man, it's a beautiful feeling. And to see how fired up the veterans were for it as well, that we were honoring that night. And that is definitely a top moment in AVM history for me.
And I think that really, Jeff, it encapsulates so much more, because people that come to the fights, I mean, that buy a ticket to your fight, everybody, it doesn't matter. You've had cancer touch your life in some aspects. Some tough thing has happened. And when you can sit there as a fan and listen to some of those stories, that maybe somewhere in your mind you can say, okay, what I'm going through is I can deal with this. I think it helps people just in the crowd realize that in everyday normal life, that they can take something from these heroes that have fought for our country, that are out in front of them right now, and make their own lives better by just listening.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I think that even, you know, in the middle of this pandemic, I have seen a lot of people going through tough times, and it breaks my heart, you know, and we were talking about resiliency, but I think that stories like this, sharing these stories of these real heroes and what they've overcome and what they've come through will show you that our problems are really minuscule. Like, you know, you have clean water to drink, a roof over your head, food on the table, and clean clothes, then you need to have some serious gratitude. I mean, you know, there was a veteran that I met the very first AVM, Sergeant Matthew Kill. He had actually been shot with a sniper round. I don't remember the year, but he was one of the first honorees that we ever had. Right. And he laid on the ground in combat, like paralyzed for 9 to 10 hours, right, because it was too hot to land, to get him out of there, to you know, evac him out. And this guy has since come on and has a family, and he's so motivating. It's just like, that could be somebody that could easily be like, screw this. You know, but he hasn't. He's continued to fight, and he's just a very inspiring guy.
And I think those moments are what AVM is all about, and why the fans and why the fighters in particular travel from across the country to come back to this event. It's time for a break, but when we come back, we have 7 moments left, and the name Jared Hardy is next on the list. Here at Arapahoe Kia, the safety of our customers, staff, and community are our top priority. We wish to make your car buying experience as easy and comfortable as possible. Our online sales specialists and in-store staff are standing by to help you with all your auto needs. Our services will continue to operate, and we will remain open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please call or email with any questions or concerns that you may have. Visit us at coloradokia.com today. Browse through our inventory from the safety of your own home. Our website is a helpful resource for shopping and researching vehicles. You can search through our entire inventory, whether you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle. At coloradokia.com, you can also find service and parts information, as well as being able to communicate directly with the dealership. We will also continue to offer vehicle pickup and delivery services. No matter which department you are looking to reach, we have staff available to answer your questions and assist with your needs. You can connect with a member of our team by phone, email, or through our website. Please don't hesitate to reach out, as we remain dedicated to serving you for all your automotive needs throughout this challenging time. Welcome back to the top moments in AVM history, and we're going to go with number 7 now. I don't want to give it away. We have a tie later on, so you're getting a little extra moment in there. But Jared Hardy walking out to a sold-out arena and into the cage that year.
You know, this one is one of my favorites as well. There's just so many. Jared Hardy is such an incredible man. I first met, he was a Fort Collins police officer and who was just a born entrepreneur at heart. And I'm just so proud of him. You know, the fighting helped him break his fear of a lot of things. And he ended up walking away from law enforcement a few years ago to pursue a full-time entrepreneur career. He just finished his first book. So he's a published author now, and he has an awesome podcast. But, Jared was always one of those guys. He's just, the light of the room. He was confident, and he knew a lot of people. Right. And so he sold a lot of tickets. And I remember he was getting ready to fight, and he was in the back room, and everybody knew he was up next. And you just hear people, Hardy, Hardy, all those people. And they lined up on the catwalk. And as he starts coming down, you could just see the electricity in his face, and his son was with him at the time, it was just crazy energy. I mean, you've experienced it. Anybody who's ever been to AVM, I don't need to explain that to them. But watching him walk down through that, it was goosebumps, and it was a great memory. And
one thing I want to go back to and refer to is, I think that you landed upon something that really makes this special, because I think what it does is it allows fighters to find other avenues, because these are guys that are the utmost confident, but war does great damage to your brains, to what your thought process is, and to come back, find some success, realize, yes, I can do this again. I think it branches off to so many things. Look what it's done for him. Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, being a police officer for all those years and being a United States Air Force veteran, this event meant a lot to him. And I just can't say how proud I am of Jared. So Jared, if you're watching, I'm super proud of you, brother, which I've already told you. And he was even gracious enough to give me a spot in his book. There you go. You got to like that. It's always good to get a mention. Right. All right, we go on to number 6, and I believe this one is Brian Scroggins and Nikolai Navarro. Do you remember that fight? I can never forget it. United States Marine Brian Scoggins and Army Ranger Nikolai Navarro. This was actually a fight I had been scouting for a few years. Brian seemed almost unbeatable. Trying to figure out if you were going to get it. Brian was almost unbeatable at a time where he's long and he's lanky and he's dangerous on the ground and he has incredibly violent and accurate striking. But then here comes Nikolai Navarro, nasty striking, very athletic. I mean, they were built almost identical. And there was some is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And yes, no. And we ended up getting the fight. And oh my goodness, Todd, it was fire from the opening bell on. I mean, they went back and forth, and it ended up being everything we had thought of. It was an incredible fight. You've got to see some of these highlights of this fight. I mean, it was insane. And when you get a fight like that, Jeff, I mean, listen, you're with a lot of fights. Yeah. Sometimes you think fights are going to be what you think they're going to be. It's a first-round knockout, or it doesn't turn out, but a lot of times it does turn out, and this was one of those. Yeah, it was one of those that it was just my goodness, what an incredible fight. I believe Brian now lives in California, and so I'm going to have to let him know that we're going to kind of re-show it. I seen him sharing some old pictures, of the events, and he's just a great guy as well. And man, this is going to be a hard week, Todd. Well, you look at that, I think it's going to create excitement, Jeff, but at the same time, I think it will keep people connected. And I think during this time of COVID-19, you've got to remember that, and not only remember it, but appreciate that moment of when it happened, and can't wait because you're salivating for when that moment will happen again, because I think a lot of people out there are figuring that out right now. Yeah, for sure. And we're constantly evolving and pivoting as our Sparta Media Group business. We've been very blessed to be still working right now with a lot of our clients in that, but it gives us every day the wheels are turning. How can we get something going again safely? All right, number 5 on the list, and there's always emotion here. Dusky Van Ness is another one that you can talk about, because you see the range of emotion. You see elation, you see exhaustion, and sometimes you see tears. Yeah, Dusky is, we bicker and banter a lot, but I love him like my brother. And Dusky has served 4 tours of duty overseas, and he's been through a lot. And Dusky hates hearing it, but he's always been one of my heroes.
because of the simple fact of everything that he's been through.
Right.
I just love him so much. And, we had created the Court of the Cage aspect of the documentary we had, and I came up with the idea I wanted to do Dear Army, and him reading his letter, Dear Army, on what he had been through. And Dusky is the ultimate soldier. I mean, that's the guy that without a second thought will put his life on the line for you. He's an incredible father of 4 beautiful little girls, and he has an incredible wife. And this is one of those rare moments where I'm giving him compliments because I'm usually busting his balls.
Some guys operate like that. They like that. It's part of who they are.
That's what they say. Real friends talk trash to your face and defend you behind your back.
We are.
Yeah.
When you look at that.
Yeah, we got a lot of bantering going back and forth. But number 5 for me, was being able to honor him because I knew that he didn't want that to happen. He is definitely not the guy that ever wants to be honored.
Attention.
Yeah, and so when he got into the cage and those tears, like it made me tear up. And I mean, AVM is one of those moments anyway where like it's the brotherhood and being united and just everybody's there for a good cause that night. That memory is another one that lives in my mind forever. And it was one of my proudest moments because I was able to honor somebody who deserved it so much that never really looked for it.
Well, I think too, it gives you a sliver. It gets you a little something. You don't know quite how people are going to react with the tough exteriors but then they get there and things just flow.
We've done a few that I thought were going to result in an ass kicking for sure.
Hey, number 4, and then we'll get to the top 3 after that. But number 4, Manny Mesa, a guy that has received an award and one of the first to do so. Number 4 on your list.
My goodness. So, one of my longtime visions had been to start taking Sparta out on the road to other states and whatnot. And so we had been in Washington, and when we were out there, our matchmaker Will Hammond was like looking for people, and he's like, "Hey, I got an interesting one. I got this kid, Manny Mesa. He's also a combat veteran, was wounded severely, and he wants to fight." And I'm like, "Well, we could honor him, and he can fight." And so as I remember, I mean, Manny came. He just put on a performance of his life. And it was just like, oh my goodness, it was like one of those moments that you will never forget. And to see him honored, and then he won. And then on top of that, he's just a good guy, Right. And I still talk to him. Unfortunately, him and his family have gone through some very tough times. His daughter got diagnosed with brain cancer. His wife was battling cancer. But his attitude had been the same way as like, I truthfully believe God gives his toughest battles to his toughest warriors.
Right.
And he's still just so resilient and going through. And he actually came out to J-Train's fight last December or 2 Decembers ago in 2018 versus Drew Brookenshire, because that was a teammate and a good friend of his. Right. And so he had came out and I got to see him then. But yeah, I just talked to him last week. We still talk about fights and the sorry choice he has in NFL teams, but what can we do there? But that was definitely a very proud moment from Washington, and it just popped in my head. I have to share that moment. Jesse will want to kill me later for adding extra edit, but there was another fight and story that night. Alan Gutierrez. His mother wrote me a compelling letter the second year that we were in AVM saying that she really wanted her son to compete, right. That her other son was a combat veteran who had passed away and he was a Marine. And Alan Gutierrez, he wanted to fight in his brother's honor. And he came out and we had a huge crowd the second time we were out there. And he put on the performance of his life. But the part that gave me goosebumps, as soon as he finished the fight, he jumped on the cage and he was talking to his brother, and it just gave me chills. It was a moment that I'll forever remember. It was just like, oh my God. And now you look over in the crowd, it's going crazy, and his mom's crying, and like, it was just powerful, man. That could share, those two share in that moment because they both came from Washington. But they were moments I'll never forget.
Well, speaking about moments you'll never forget, we're up to the top 3, and there's going to be a bonus in there because we had a tie at number 2. But first, let's thank some of the great sponsors that have stayed with Sparta Media Group during this time. We'll come back with the top 3 or 4 moments. That's the bonus in a moment.
What's up, guys? This is Jeff here with Sparta Media Group, and I wanted to take a brief moment to talk about all the exciting products that we offer here at Sparta Media Group. Whether you're a small business or a large business and beyond, we offer it all. We are your one-stop shop for promotional items. We build video content. We build YouTube pre-roll. We do graphic design. We do screen printing and t-shirts. We wrap vehicles. We create vinyl banners, direct to mailers, and business cards, and so much more. To learn a little bit about Sparta MG, click the link below and follow me.
All right, welcome back into Sparta Media Group Studios as we give you some of the best moments. They're all great moments, but you have to narrow them down some way. And Travis McCody Strong getting into the ring is moments number 3.
Yeah, this is crazy story. So I believe it was AVM 6, and we had a huge crowd, and you know the VIP area is always sold out. So I'm walking, this guy grabs me and he's like, "Hey, do you have any extra VIP seats?" And I was like, "I really don't. We're sold out right now." And I turned to walk away, and I noticed he had shorts on, and he was a double amputee. So I just said, "Excuse me, are you a veteran?" And he said, "Yeah." And so I said, "Here, come on." I had him sit up, ringside.
Really?
Yeah, ringside. And then afterwards, I got to learn a little bit more about his story, and somebody there had recognized him and told me to look at his YouTube. So he had actually been involved in an IED in Iraq, I believe it was, and he lost both of his legs. And he was in Walter Reed Medical Center, recovering. From that point, I mean, this guy does Tough Mudders. He climbed Manitou Springs,
which if you haven't done it, go do it.
Yeah, if you got 2 legs, most people can't do it. Yeah. He's just been an inspiration, and so one of the following years, we were able to honor him. And people don't know better. They want to be able to help somebody, get into the cage if they feel like they're, if they have a disability or anything like that. And we announce him, and the crowd's dead silent, and you have 5,000 people in there, and he kind of, he's kind of almost crawls to the stage, and somebody goes to help him, and he's like, "Get the F off me, don't do." And he gets in, and the crowd's so crying, and he looks around, and he's like, boom, fist bump, and that crowd erupts, and tears are pouring down, and it was just an amazing time. And I'm bummed for this year because I had selected captains, and he was going to be the captain. He was one of the captains of the Army team. So when we reschedule, he will still be there. But that was just a beautiful moment. I love it so much. And, I mean, you just can't, the video doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, and the emotion is what you get when you get, listen, it's a long night. I mean, you got 22 fights, and you need that emotion to kind of carry you through. And you need moments where you're reminded about what these fighters have done prior to coming into the cage, and how their battle is and what their path was to get there. And when you see that all put together, it comes up with something special. And it's so special that number 2 we got tied for number 2. Let's go ahead and go with the Army veteran you met, Brian.
Yeah.
Which is a moment that you wonder, when you're looking at this, how does one moment be? They're all great moments. They just have numbers in front of them.
I'll be honest, it changed my life. Meeting this guy changed my life. So in I think it was 2013, 2014, we used to do, me and my brilliant ideas, we would do 2 shows a day. So we would do Fight for the Troops in the morning, where we'd give away 3,000 free military tickets, and then we'd have the AVM night show. And so we were just completing the day show, and I walked out, and I was doing something at the box office to do the switchover, and this guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, you don't know me?" And he's like, "But I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I think what you're doing is pretty damn cool." And I was like, "I appreciate that." I said, "What are you doing tonight?" And he's like, "I don't really have any plans." He's like, I'm up here in Loveland. And I was just like, "Well, tell you what, you're my guest now." So I gave him my all access pass, and I said, "Come back tonight and you be here." And I can't even tell you what it was, but there was some form of, I just recognized something in his eyes.
Right.
I could see the pain. Right. And I don't know, I just had like this bond with him. Like there was something, something I needed to know more about him. And so we went on with the show, and that night he came back. And so, I went and talked to the production crew, and I was like, hey, this guy's a combat veteran. I know he's not part of the plan as far as who we're honoring tonight, but I want to at least introduce him to the crowd, and I want to honor him for his service. And so I didn't tell him.
Kind of on the fly.
Yeah, kind of on the fly. Like, hey, that's how I roll. I think I started like 17 new businesses in the last 2 weeks of my head.
Let's just check it
Quarantine. So, we get through and we're starting to do it, and then I introduce him, and I see the look of shock on his face. And so a little bit of panic sat in my stomach, like,
for a second,
did I do the right thing? And he came in, and the crowd's erupting and, going crazy. And I grab a handshake and a very powerful, embracing, emotional hug. And I could see kind of the tears welling in his eyes. And he was just like, thank you for that, and not to think much of it, but then the next day, I had a Facebook message, from him, and he went on to just tell me that, he was going through a lot at the time, and, he just, his life was just in turmoil, and he wasn't sure what to do next. And seeing the other wounded veterans there and what they had been through had re-inspired him to not only continue living this great life that he has, but to also want to help others who had struggled with him. So, as time had gone on, we became very good and close friends. And, like I was talking earlier, I believe in fate. And my purpose for meeting him, ironically, and I had told my wife, Becca, this at the time, that he reminded me of my dad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you what it was, but there was something about him that reminded me of my father. And as you know, this whole AVM series was created out of a desperate need for me to understand my father
and what they deal with.
Right, and to have a connection and just understand why he was the way that he was. And still to this day, I'm so grateful. I'm still friends with Brian. I talked to him, a few months ago, and he's living in Wisconsin now. But that meeting changed my life. It gave me a new perspective on what maybe my father had gone through a little bit more. And Brian, I just love him so much. He's such an incredible guy. And that moment changed my life and the trajectory of the event, because I saw that it was affecting lives in a positive way.
Well, and I think right off the bat, you affected his life. A guy that has question marks, wondering where he was, that chance meeting. You never know what a few kind words in a moment like that. And when you see other veterans there that are struggling as well, what that can do to kind of get your shoulders back and to be able to stand up again and fight for something that you want.
Yeah, so it was amazing. And that's one of my favorite moments of AVM that I'll never forget.
All right, speaking of amazing, tied at number 2. We told you we were going to bring you a little brouhaha in one of the best fights ever. How about Lucero and Padilla?
Wow. I can watch it over and over. Everybody I show that fight to are just like, oh my God. And I think what made it more powerful is that it shows the warrior spirit of these military veterans and, the pride between, Army and Marine. And then, it was Lucero had the, the Muay Thai shorts on representing Rufus Sports. And, Lucero had Bang, 2 rivals in Muay Thai. So it was like, what are we going to get? And, as you guys will see this fight and relive it, it was crazy. It was a bloodbath. They ruined my canvas.
Oh, yeah.
Brand new white canvas was toast after that.
And if you haven't seen the fight or you can't remember it or you remember it and want to see it again, guess what? Here it is.
Fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, a member of the United States Army, please make welcome Paul Lucero Jr.
So, Paul Lucero Jr. in our first true Army versus Marines matchup of the evening. Mr. Lucero coming to us. He's representing Army and he's representing Ludwig Martial Arts.
Always a treat to see legend Dwayne Bang Ludwig in the house, the owner in the UFC's fastest knockout ever in 7 seconds is quite unbelievable. But you know, that kind of speaks to the level of ninja that Dwayne Bang Ludwig is and what he trains and teaches his students.
Yeah, it's a lifelong dream of his.
That's right.
To have his own martial arts school and to be producing martial artists, and so he's literally every day living out his dream, and with that kind of passion, you're going to enjoy success.
You know, not only are you going to enjoy success, you're actually going to change the way we view martial arts, and that's what we've seen with him since his return back to the cage. In terms of coaching, that is.
Yes, sir.
And Paul Lucero, one of his most
and now,
dedicated
fighting out
students.
of the Farmers Insurance, Thomas Swenson, blue corner, a member of the United States Marine Corps. Please make welcome, Jared Padilla.
All right, we talked about the Army guy. It's Jared Padilla representing the Marines coming to the cage now.
I've had a chance of hearing some information about Jared Padilla. Apparently Jared Padilla has some really beautiful striking, really good hands. I know that he's been working with a friend of mine, and if you've really become proficient in your striking and you're getting ready to fight a Bang Muay Thai fighter, this one should be fireworks. My goodness, can't wait to see this.
Guys are in the 135-pound division, so speed, conditioning is going to be what we're going to look at. And both these guys ranked really high in their power. Speed, of course, 5. Striking, Bang Muay Thai fighter, of course, going to come in at a 5. And the wrestling and jiu-jitsu pretty close, except for Padilla on that jiu-jitsu looking to have a seemingly 2-point advantage.
As our stat tracks show us, this one should be a very interesting fight because both of these guys are a little bit more advantaged in one aspect versus another. So the grappling style, of course, is going to be something that Padilla is going to be looking for, whereas for Lucero is going to be really looking to light up Padilla on the hands and the feet. This one should be the classic striker versus grappler, you know, as we like to say in this sport.
Referee Tom Johnson making sure there's no razor blades tucked into the gloves of Mr. Padilla. No white powder inside the belt to throw into his eyes.
Not today, no. Oh, that's funny. The energy here at Budweiser Event Center in beautiful Loveland, Colorado is incredible as the house starts to fill for AVM 8, Army versus Marines, the biggest show of the year every year. And this one should be a barn burner.
Fight number 6 of the evening is presented by Aquabay Tans. We offer 4 levels of tanning plus the brand new My Miss Mystic Tan Spray Booth and the All Skin Rejuvenation Bed. Come hide away at the bay. Time to meet the 135-pound fighters first. Fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, from Ludwig Martial Arts in Broomfield, Colorado, a member of Alpha Battery 1st Battalion of the United States Army. Please make welcome, Paul Lucero Jr. And now, fighting out of the Farmers Insurance, Thomas Swenson, blue corner. From 303 Training Center in Westminster, Colorado, a member of Fox Troop 23 ACR 7th ESP deployed CSBS of the United States Marine Corps. Please make welcome, Jared Padilla. This elimination 135-pound bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. Referee Tim Mills.
Gentlemen,
and we can see on Mr. Padilla the black and yellow Rufus Sport trunks. So coming to us, is that Michigan? Is that where Rufus Sports is? Milwaukee. There we go. And boy, talk about strikers there. Rick and Duke Rufus, couple of the best that have ever done it.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's why I said this one was kind of one of my sleeper fights here. So very, very interested to see how this goes. We've seen just, look at this action get started.
And
oh my
goodness. Just comes out going for the fences. Quick start.
Quick start and really calm looking Paul Lucero right now. Not too worried. but Padilla doing a nice job of putting the pressure. Oh,
and Lucero staggered.
Lucero's in big trouble right now, JR.
Padilla's taking some hard shots.
Landing at will.
Accurate punches by Padilla.
Oh, and he's landing hard shots, but look at the toughness of Lucero standing in there. Oh my goodness.
Lucero trying to fire back.
Padilla coming out of here like a house on fire, and look at the knees landing. He's got Lucero in trouble right now, JR.
They're doing a good job continuing with the swarm. Lucero, his corner's calling for the clinch. They want hands behind the head, controlling that posture. Lucero not able to do it so far.
Lucero still, he's bloodied up a bit, but I gotta tell you, he looks clear to me. He looks like he's okay.
They're over in the corner of Padilla. That always helps, have an extra set of eyes on the fight. And good job swinging off the break by Lucero.
Oh, and I gotta tell you, Padilla's throwing really straight shots right now.
So accurate.
Yeah, really straight. I mean, right down the pipe right there, and it's catching Lucero. But Lucero looks to be getting his wits about him right now. Oh, and he lands a big hard right
hand. Good lefts and rights by Lucero. Couple of power shots for the Bang Muay Thai fighter.
Oh! Lucero's back in this fight big, and he's landing hard right hands. Oh, and a head kick.
See if Padilla punched himself out a little bit. Won the takedown now is Padilla. Lucero doing a good job with his hip position, wants to turn in. Not able to do so before being ripped off the cage by Padilla.
Beautiful job with the roll reverse takedown, but look at Lucero doing a nice job of covering up, protecting his ears, protecting his head. Definitely showing he's got his wits about him.
And Padilla, great job with the leg ride and then reaching across for the far side ankle control.
What a fight. None of the fights are disappointing at all. This is unbelievable action. And look at Lucero coming back.
Now Padilla knows he's in a fight.
He absolutely knows he's in a fight. And Lucero now, oh, and a big head kick lands. Oh, and a big right hand.
Rocked by it. 10-second clacker.
What a fight.
These guys are putting it all out there. We're going to be back with what we hope to be as exciting second round. Ron, take a look at the replay here. This is the end of the round. These guys just throwing everything that they have, hoping they can get some kind of an ending here. And fortunately for us, neither one does, and we get a second round.
And Paul Lucero lands 3 huge right hands that land flush on Jared Padilla and really rattle Padilla after Padilla had him rattled early in the first round. What a fight.
And Padilla looks really fresh.
And I gotta tell you, I see the same thing in Paul Lucero. He looks good to me right now. Looks great, actually.
And immediately looking for the clinch. Surprises me a little bit. Padilla wanted to take this down to the ground early on.
Oh, and Lucero's landing that hook again.
That overhand right that we have seen from Lucero so many times in so many fights.
I'm
just really serving him well.
Repairman for a minute. Oh, and now Lucero's got Padilla in huge trouble. Oh, and he's landed big shots right now.
Looking to control the head. No luck with it was Padilla. Now he's got better head control. Lucero pressured forward, got him into the cage. A lot of blood, a lot of sweat, able to pop that head free. And now Padilla goes off with a combination against the fence.
What a fight!
Corner Lucero, say bring him forward, and Lucero does exactly that. But Padilla meets him with a hard right hand.
Oh, and a huge throw from Padilla. Launches
Scramble
Lucero
to their feet.
Look at this action, JR. Oh, and a hard right hand. Oh, and another hard right hand. And Padilla is landing hard shots right now on Paul Lucero. Oh, and Lucero!
Lucero keeps the guard up, gets a right hand in, drags it to the ground. Let's see if he elects to come back to standing. He's going to try to do some groundwork here.
This is one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. This is insanity right now.
Corner Lucero calling for hooks. And now they want strikes.
And Lucero's got Padilla on his back right now, almost inside mount.
Padilla trying to sit up for the hammerlock, wants the Kimura.
Oh!
And good job by Lucero, able to push Padilla down. Wants to get those shoulders flat on the mat. Padilla aware of it, does not let himself get flattened.
This is insanity right here.
Just over 30 seconds left. What a great scramble here. Lucero drug him to the ground, controlling position, but now it's Padilla that's able to come out on top.
You want to talk about pride? You're watching pride right now.
Army versus Marines. My gosh, listen to this crowd, Ron.
Unbelievable action.
Padilla, the 10-second clacker sounded. Padilla was trying for the rear naked choke.
And Padilla's putting the heavy pressure on Lucero right now. Oh!
And Ron, you can take just about any moment of that fight and throw it onto a highlight reel, and you'd be happy with what you saw. Here we got Padilla working the hammer fists from the top, but we know Lucero was able to get a reversal, or rather this is the end of the fight. Prior to that, Lucero had positional control and was doing a really great job with his ground and pound. And basically, they're in the corner of Lucero trying to patch him back together right now. A little bit of Humpty Dumpty. All the King's men trying to put him back together. And Padilla looking like he's been in a fight too, leaking a little chi over in his corner.
I'm telling you right now, this is one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe the heart and the will of both of these guys, as both of these guys are getting the Budweiser Event Center's roof blown off right now. Unbelievable action in this fight so far. I cannot wait for this third and final round. These guys are legends as far as I'm concerned.
And the bow from Padilla, nice, I love it. Touch of gloves, you talked about it. There's pride on the line. It's one of the things that's helping drive these guys. And Padilla comes out with that pinpoint accuracy that we've been seeing since round number one.
That straight right hand of his is something to behold, and right now, Lucero looks to be taking control and almost getting himself a chance to breathe a little bit right now.
Yeah, they got a little bit of extra time at the end of the round before this round started because they had so much blood to clean up in there. But now, looking for a crucifix position here is Lucero, and Padilla showing great strength. Lucero, what a nice step over to get the left hook in. And underneath the chin is Lucero. He has great position here.
And some hand fighting right now from Padilla to get himself out of that choke. But Lucero takes top mount position right now, and Lucero looks to be in a good spot.
Beautiful, beautiful work by both fighters. I was about to call it in favor of Lucero. Padilla able to get the turn in, ends up being full mounted, but at least he's not being choked anymore.
And for both of these guys to take a short breath is incredible, but they're doing it right now because I think that these guys both know that they have rattled each other, and Lucero right now has got a figure four around the waist of Padilla, and he's looking to sneak in that arm underneath that chin.
Yep, he's going to use his strikes to try to set up the choke. He's looking over to his corner for instruction. Corner's telling him to get that rear naked choke in.
And Lucero's staying busy too. He's still striking too, so he's scoring at will right now.
And Lucero, so calm, so experienced. In the midst of everything that's happened in there, he's still looking in his corner, taking instruction, and being able to follow what his coaches are telling him to do.
Padilla doing a nice job of staying out of trouble as Lucero looks to lock that arm underneath the chin, but good hand fighting again from Padilla.
But Lucero really getting the strikes in this round from the back position. Every time he does it, it pops up the head of Lucero. He's hoping he can throw an arm under there, but Lucero wise to it. Always every time his head comes up, he grabs the opposite arm of Lucero for defense.
Both of these guys are exhausted. Both of these guys are pushing forward. Both of these guys are trying to finish. And now Padilla looks to turn, reverse, and basically getting back to their feet, and here comes the striking again.
The 10-second clacker sounded. Padilla gets a hard right hand. Lucero eats a well, tries for the takedown. We're going to end it with Padilla inside
What a
control.
fight!
All right, we're going to take it up to Sean Patrick and see what the judges say about this. Ron, you and I say it's fight of the year.
Fight of the year. Maybe fight of the decade.
You know, we talk about fights where there's no losers. This is one of those. I mean, the fans got everything they could possibly hope for, and both of these warriors in there gave it their all, and no matter what, this is one of those fights where you learn something from it, you take something home from it, and you grow as a martial artist from it.
You know, and you grow as a human being from this. This is one of those fights where you learn more about yourself than you learn about anything else, and this is one of those situations where these guys put it all out there.
Referee Tim Mills getting the fighters in the center of the cage. Here comes Sean. And we're going to have an interview.
After 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Joe Garcia scores about 29-28 Padilla. Judge Hale Hilsebeck scores about 29-28 Lucero. And Judge Jeannie McElroy scores about 29-28, declaring your winner by split decision, Paul Lucero Jr.
And congratulations to the Ludwig martial arts fighter. What a great performance. Gonna go home with the victory by way of split decision. We'll take it up to Sean Patrick. He's gonna have a couple of words with the winner.
Sean Patrick in the cage with Paul. Do you have enough left to talk to me?
Yeah.
Take me through that fight just a little bit. What an incredible fight it was for us to watch, certainly.
That was a banger, man. Much props to Jared Padilla. I want to say happy birthday to Jessica Ludwig, my sister, and that was a tough fight, man. Thank you, everybody that came out.
Thank you so much for putting that on for us tonight. Now, after one of those beatings, really is what you could call it, does it make you inspired to want to get right back in and do it again?
Yeah, I just need to take a little break, though. That was a good fight.
Well, we'll hope to see you again soon. Congratulations on a hard-earned victory. Give it up once again for your winner, Paul Lucero Jr.
Wow. When you look at that, I mean, so many times in that fight, is it going to go this way? Is it going to go that way? How's it going to change here? Is it over here? I mean, that's what it's all about. And I mean, these guys are fighting on adrenaline points.
That fight looked like it was over 3 or 4 times from both ends, you know, and they just kept going and going and going. And I remember they both had to be helped out of the cage and back to the dressing room where they both collapsed. They were both like just back there needing medical attention, and everybody was just like, I mean, they
could have been a main event fight.
Oh, we could install that 99% of any other fight cards, and people would still just be like in awe of it. It doesn't matter how many times you watch it; it's just unbelievable.
You were telling me that in the weeks leading up to us taping this for Saturday night, on the night that it was supposed to be AVM 11, that you'd seen little snippets on there, and why not give the fans the whole fight?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was worthy of it and deserved it. And so all I could say is every time before that fight comes on is get your popcorn ready.
Well, we've shown you some great moments, but really, when it comes to it and you're picking out great moments of Army versus Marines, where it's patriotic, it's emotional, you're seeing people from different military branches give their all to come into the ring and fight. The only number one moment that I can think of, and Jeff has picked out, is the fact when the USA chants come down, because I think what it does, it brings everybody together for that moment, and I think it's a little slice of time that you don't forget.
It never gets old. It's kind of like it's just one of those moments in history that it's just like, if you were there, you'll remember it. It's one of those moments that you remember when it happened. And, I remember, a good friend of ours, also a big sponsor with Dynamic Mortgage, Bill Ton. He was also a combat veteran, U.S. Army veteran. Dusky Van Ness brought him to AVM 1. And he wasn't even in the mortgage industry at this time. And he told me from that point, he told his wife, we have to be a part of this event at some point. And then they ended up coming on to be long-term sponsors for the last 4 years now. And but that's what he said, that he looks forward to that. They love that. And, you know, I remember it's just the vibration in the arena of 5,000 people chanting USA, USA. It gives you goosebumps. And when you're there live, you're like, God damn, I'm proud to be an American.
Absolutely. And when you look at it, listen, you at home that are watching can sit and pick out your favorite moments. But I think when you take a look at it with honorable mention all the way through, there may be a special moment that you rank number one, but the fact of the matter is you have to put a number by it. They're all great moments. And Jeff, to take it a step further, for those that are leading up to it, you've been teasing it a little bit on Facebook. You're going to show it on your YouTube channel, that is. So kind of give the fans where this will be and where they can rewatch it if they want.
Yeah, so Saturday night, we're going to stream live on Sparta Sports and Entertainment Facebook. We're going to stream it live on Sparta Media Group Facebook. And we're also going to stream it live on Sparta Sports Entertainment YouTube channel and also the Sparta Media Group channel. And then it'll live forever in the archives. You know, we'll have it. That's been one of the blessings in this whole thing is me and Jesse were laughing. I mean, we have enough footage to build 10 full-length documentary films on this stuff. And so, tune in. I appreciate it. I know it's not the same as the real thing, but I promise you, as soon as we get healthy and we can go, we're going to go.
And that's the thing. We want to make sure that you have Sparta in your minds, that the fights will come back because people are chewing for it. They want sports to come back on a global scale, but also local and regional, because it's these events where the great fighters of tomorrow start their careers. And when you go to sellouts and you go to the Sparta, almost every month there's an event, and I know you've been missing it, but everybody's got to be safe out there, make smart decisions, because as long as that goes, we'll get back to normal life the quickest that we possibly can.
Yeah, you know, nobody likes it, but hey, we got to do what we got to do. We're all in this together, and we really want to get back to it as soon as we can, but safely, of course. You know, because it does us no good if we rush out there and do something, a bunch of people get sick again, then we're all back down again. So no matter what your beliefs is, you know, let's do this together and ride it out. But we hope that these events that we're doing, that we've been streaming, the concerts and the fights, will bring you some joy. And then, hey, look forward to Cinco de Mayo weekend next Saturday night as well on May 2nd. We are going to be doing the best of Airtight Boxing and Sparta Boxing with a tribute to the Cinco de Mayo weekend. Usually I'm in Vegas for a Canelo Alvarez fight, but that's not going to happen this year.
No, not going to happen. But listen, keep your dial tuned in to Sparta Media Group. We'll let you know when fights are upcoming, when things calm down a bit, but hopefully this tantalizes the tape buzz just a little bit and gives you something to watch on Saturday night. For Jeff Cisneros, the CEO of Sparta Entertainment Group, I'm Todd Romero, and we'll see you next time.